is Monday, March 3rd. This is the Policy Advisory Committee. Start with attendance, go around the room, say who's here. Andrew, we'll start with you.
Andrew Hennius, attorney for the committee.
Rob Mezzanotte, assistant superintendent.
Erin Earl, school committee chair.
Jennifer Lino, school committee member. Did everybody get a chance to review the minutes from the last meeting?
Yep.
Okay. Any questions?
No questions.
Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So, the first one that I wanted to review was the safe schools policy. Did you get a chance to look at that?
I did.
Okay. I didn't see any notes or comments in it.
No, so in my review, this is the one that's draft Safe Schools NKSD.
Yes.
In my review, I didn't really have any questions. I felt like much of what was provided in this is something that we've been practicing, I think. As
Yes,
far
it
as
is.
like,
It's taken directly from the regulations and from the guidance.
Yep.
And it also incorporates some of the Jamestown policy and the Providence schools draft. So there's nothing in here that is earth-shaking, but we are required to have something documented, so this is that.
yeah. So I mean, I know Andrew, has been helpful with some guidance that we've had, in light of recent things, and I think this captures a lot of what we had received.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I believe Aubrey worked extensively on the Providence one.
Yes,
To be
yes,
honest with you.
yeah. Yeah, there were like some things in that weren't really applicable to
Yeah.
us, cause that was a little bit more in depth, and then Jamestown, I think some things have like kind of changed a little bit since that one was put in, so I tried to like take this basically word for word from the guidance, and then just incorporate the policy language. There were a few things that I did have a question on, though, in going through this.
Then can you bring me on that document? I can't
Yeah.
find it in the folders, even though I saw it earlier. 'Cause Google has a journey. Thank you.
The, question that I had was, we do require immunization records, but with a caveat that there is an exemption for religious purposes, correct?
Yep, correct.
So I wasn't sure whether we wanted to, it's on page 2, numbered J, where it says, where we're talking about like documentation required to register and enroll in school. I didn't know whether we wanted to include that in here.
Could you add or the appropriate waiver?
Yeah, that was my
Applicable
question.
waiver,
Okay.
or something like that.
So there might, I think there's a religious exemption, there may be another one too,
Yeah.
but I can't recall.
Sometimes there's a health, like a medical
Yeah,
exemption.
maybe that's
like,
what I'm thinking of, yep.
Okay. I just have to fill in some policy numbers. And then one of the policies, I think it's South Kingstown, it might be Providence also, has a section specifically detailing the school resource officer's role in cooperating with outside law enforcement agencies, and I didn't know whether we wanted to have that in this or not.
You have that in the folder as an example, or?
Yeah, if you go in the folder, the SK school safety policy,
Thank you.
Trying to think of like, we have some of the things in the MOA, but that's not policy.
So I feel like the part that says, I think, like, definitely, I think we could probably say the part about prohibiting by acquiring or recording any information regarding, immigration status or country of birth. But I'm not sure whether we can do the shall sign an agreement.
Yeah, where did that come from?
That is in a policy, I think it's the South Kingstown policy.
Yeah, I don't know, I'll defer to Andrew a little bit on that, I don't know if that's something that seems to go a little far
Yeah, I feel
above.
like that's outside of our
Yeah,
scope.
yeah.
Why is it in NKSDs then?
They've had that since like 2018, to be honest with you. They were well ahead of the
Well
curve
ahead
on
of the
this.
curve,
Got
yeah.
it. So what I'm hearing is, it wasn't me, so what I'm hearing. Just like, well, like,
And it also depends on your relationship with the local police department too. I think, SK, I believe, their police department had been pretty clear this was the position they were going to take anyway, so they may have just folded that into a policy. I don't know. That was before me.
okay.
So, I mean, I am pretty sure, right, that like the policy in general would cover SROs in terms of everything else, Andrew, right? Because technically there are, like, this is all stuff happening on school grounds.
Yeah, correct.
So I don't know if we need this, but like I said, I wanted to put it out there. And then my only other question was, when we're talking about who students will be released to, I think the Jamestown policy said that Jamestown police would be notified if there's no authorized individual to release the student to, and if necessary, school personnel will call DCYF. I just wanted to see whether that is the process, if we wanna put that in the policy.
I would assume that would be eventually the process, like, if somebody didn't pick up their student for like a very long, prolonged time, but I would imagine that there would be a
It's not
lot,
the first step that you.
yeah, there'd be a lot in between that.
And that's my hope,
Yes,
yes.
yeah, so,
So, hold on, I just.
where are you?
I'm reading SK policy, I'm trying to see how they handle the SRO. But
That's what I was doing.
Yeah,
Jen, I'm 99% sure I don't have access to the folder. Like, I don't know, can you just reshare the whole policy folder with me?
Yeah,
I went
that's
through
fine.
every which way, sorted it by folders, shared by me, everything, I don't know why. Thank you.
so I have a question, the South Kingstown policy, it defines the SRO, but I don't see where it,
That's where I am. It read
As
local
in
law
there,
enforcement's
but-
right underneath it.
and then it refers to law enforcement later, but it doesn't specifically state how the SRO would get involved.
Yeah, see, that, and those definitions I get, right? Because they just basically say they'll comply with the
Mhm.
department policies and state law. I'm just trying to see where.
I can only see it
Oh,
in the
here it is, I'm
terms.
sorry, I lied, it's from the Providence policy.
Like,
And
girl, it's not in here.
And I believe that was done in conjunction with the Providence Police. If you know, the mayor in Providence
Yep.
made it very clear
Yep.
what their police force,
Yep.
what stance they were
Yep.
going to take with respect to that.
Yeah, I knew I took it, I didn't make it up, but I just had the city wrong, yeah, it's from
SK
Providence.
does define SRO though, I don't know,
SRO and law
like that
enforcement
might be,
is
so
defined.
if we do end up referencing it, like I think that part is important, of making sure to define it.
Right,
To Providence we go, do we even have Providence?
yes, it's in the folder. What is the matter with your computer?
No, I'm in the folder now. It was not there for the
It's
record,
under
and then it
PTSD.
appeared, so I don't know what happened. And now I am in the Safe Schools folder,
Okay.
and I see Jamestown, Worcester.
I think it says draft PPSD.
Oh, I see, thank you.
Oh.
Where's the SRO Prominence?
In the Providence one?
Yep.
It is
Okay,
in
got
the, under the section entitled Access to Students. It's on page 4,
Thank you.
numbers
Oh, right, yeah, I
H,
see,
H
yep.
and I.
Got it. Yeah, I defer to Andrew on that one.
Okay.
Like the first one seems, H seems,
I'm texting over right
yeah,
now.
you're phoning your friend. Alright, let's circle back on
Okay,
that one.
so then the last question would be the paragraph. Students will only be released to those authorized individuals who are listed on the contact form. District personnel will remain with the student until they're picked up if there is no authorized individual to release the student to. What is the next step?
I think that is the next step, because we're already saying that we're going to go off the emergency contact. So once you go through the emergency contact and you call everyone, if there's no one else to come, then the next step would be to call the police and possibly DCYF.
Okay, so that is correct,
That is
as
correct,
written,
yeah.
okay. So then I think the only other question was about the SRO.
I would say let's circle back on that,
Okay,
like, because,
Yeah, Aubrey's
Yep,
pretty good.
yep,
I'd be
okay.
surprised if I don't hear back from her before this
Yeah.
meeting's over.
so are there any other questions, comments, concerns with this?
I don't have any.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to move it forward to the school committee then pending the outcome of, with any necessary, well, we'll circle back on that in this.
I would
meeting.
just wait to do the
Yeah.
motion, and
Okay.
then that way if Aubrey gets back, we can.
Okay. So the next ones are the, attendance policy, attendance boundaries, attendance boundaries and enrollment, policies. We had gone over at the last meeting, the, admission and registration of students, one, and then there was some information that we needed to get from, Joanne, I think, regarding kindergarten registration.
I came out with different dates in here to put in the,
Is this the deviation,
This one is
From
red
attendance
line
boundaries?
/ admission / registration of students.
red line slash?
I'm gonna bing you on it.
Slash. Nope, I got it.
Ken, do you need it?
no, I have the folder here, I just think I have a different one in front of me.
Rachel had put a comment about adding a similar statement about kindergarten that is indicated in first grade. Make sure they're correct age. I see an age under kindergarten, so I'm not sure what that refers to. And I think we were also waiting on the language for preschool enrollment.
So there is a little more information on our website now about kindergarten enrollment because we're in that zone where the last time we met there was nothing up. So there is a date of when it opened and then some information about how beginning February 3rd, we will start accepting 25-26 school year registrations. Please note we will not be confirming registrations right away. Once registration is complete, parents/guardians will receive an email with a personal response from the student's registration staff once the enrollment is confirmed for the 25-26 year.
Can you send that to me?
It's on our website.
I know, but where?
On the when I googled kindergarten, I'll send it to you. Hold on. Alright, I sent it to you.
I don't know if you wanna put an actual date only because it would be the beginning of February.
Yeah, that's why I was gonna
So
change it
just-
to be a little more
Yeah,
general
that's-
and not specific. But it is the beginning of February,
Yeah,
correct?
it's the beginning of February, and it's rolling registration.
What about preschool?
Preschool's the same time. Can we
Is it
send
the
that out
same
same-
process?
Preschool, there's a lottery, you know what, I don't have the date of when they do the lottery by.
It
Unless it's on the
says
website.
on their website. An internal lottery will be held on Friday, March 7th, 2025. There will not be a public meeting for the lottery. Parents will be notified of acceptance into the program or waitlist status by email no later than Friday, Marchy?
Marchy.
Typo,
Marcy.
14th, 2025. I think we do need to expound some of that though, that is helpful for the first grouping of humans, but then if you're on the wait list, I think the goal of
Yep.
of it was to try to clarify some guidance beyond that. There's also some information about returning students are guaranteed a spot in the 4th grade class only if the application is submitted by February 28th, 2025, so they have a different situation.
Okay, I had a question going back to kindergarten. So it says, once registration is completed, parents/guardians will receive an email with a personal response from student registration staff once the enrollment is confirmed. So they don't get something upon registration, they only get it upon
Confirmation.
confirmed enrollment, is that correct?
I'm going back to read what that says.
Jen, where's it from again?
The website.
The website, it says, once registration is completed, parents, guardians will receive an email with a personal response from student registration staff once the enrollment is confirmed.
Once the enrollment is confirmed, okay. And you're asking if they get it upon confirmation or
So I
upon-
register, I hit submit, do I get anything
Here,
that tells me
Let me tell you.
that if it's confirmed, that you've
successfully registered?
successfully registered.
But you won't get an actual confirmation on the assignment of school until later, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
We can check, if it doesn't come through, that's just a,
It sounds like it's intentional,
the
like it
form.
sounds to me like they are saying, like, just cause you fill it out
Doesn't mean
doesn't
you're
mean
in,
that you're
yes.
in. Like, it
Right.
sounds like that's what they're alluding to, it's not like a clicking a box on a Google form and they get, like, you know, like,
Right.
it sounds like like there may have been some confusion from people getting a confirmation of receipt,
That
email.
was a confirmation of placement,
There you go.
right.
Yeah, so I think that wording is very on purpose, and I
Yep.
think, you know, in the policy, if that is our policy, like, figuring out what that looks like, if that makes sense. I did receive, oh no,
So would this be correct if I said this, when a student has been when a student has been assigned to a school and enrollment is confirmed, parents/guardians will receive an email from the district with that information?
I think
When a
that's,
student has been assigned to a school and enrollment is confirmed, parents, guardians will receive an email from the district.
confirming the child's school of residence. Or kindergarten, or, you know, where they'll be attending kindergarten.
And school,
And school enrollment is confirmed. School, parents will receive an email from the district with enrollment information,
Or from the district confirming their school of attendance.
confirming school attendance.
yes, from the district, advising the school.
we should check on that though, cause I don't know if that's what happens.
It's not?
I mean,
Can we take out any, this nitpicky, but rather than receive an email, can we just put receive communication from the district? In case they invent something better than email sometime.
Mhm.
How about this? When enrollment is confirmed, parents/guardians will receive communication from the district advising the school the student has been assigned to.
it's not instantaneous though, so like I fill out the form in February, I don't get something until like July.
Well, that's what it says. It says registrations will not be confirmed immediately. When enrollment is confirmed, parents, guardians will receive communication. We could say like this typically happens for kindergarten students, this,
I would say during the summer, once enrollment is confirmed.
okay.
Yeah, that sounds fine.
Okay. So we had this, and should we say, starting in early February, registrations will be accepted for the following school year and, accepted on a rolling basis? Does it end at a certain time, or,
No,
No,
because we have to accept registrations all year.
okay, is it first come, first serve, is it,
Well, it would be for a school of attendance if there's then overages.
Yeah, I think that's what we had been requested to clarify,
Mhm.
from the community members. They were not aware that it was first come, first serve, and they would have done it sooner. They didn't realize that could impact, if there was a capacity,
So
their
you could say-
space, and so if that's how you all want to do it, I think we should put it in there. I think the other consideration though is like, is it truly first come, first serve, or are there anything that like could offset it, like
the sibling thing.
sibling
So if
or,
that's the case, then you have to wait till a certain
Special
date to be
education.
able to tell
Mhm.
everyone that they're in, right? So if you're not gonna do the first come, first serve,
yeah,
and we are gonna have other variables to consider, then we'd have to wait for a date in the summer of when all those letters
Yeah.
go out and say, okay, you know, these 60 kids that have registered for Stony Lane, you're all getting your letter saying you're accepted.
Yeah, so I think for the
Because
sake,
otherwise, Joanne and myself we have to go through and look at all those registrations, and then she'd have to confirm, you know, if we are over the number of students we can have in that K at that building, we're gonna say we're going to look at siblings, right? I mean, that'd be one of them, one of the reasons. You have to
So
make
it's
sure you
not
sort
first
all
come,
of
first
those.
serve.
Well, if we're saying
Yeah.
that's what we're doing. Yeah, I mean, so we
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to,
yeah.
if we are going to do that and make that consideration to make sure that,
I would defer to what you all wanna do, but I wanna put it in writing, right? So
Yeah.
if we wanna just, I don't care, like, I trust you to figure out that piece, so if it's truly first come, first serve, then I think we should say that, and we should also say, like, I don't know how to say this in, like, policy writing, but like, sibling preference is not considered, right? Like, just cause you have a sibling in that school does not mean that you were necessarily gonna get into that school, if that's how you want to do it, and it's literally just first come, first serve, we open the registration on February whatever, and it's like NK Rec Camp energy.
Yeah, I think it should be done that way.
So that's what it actually says if you scroll down on our website under student
It's on
registration.
the form.
It,
I remember
it's,
that, yeah.
it's on the website now too. It says newly enrolled students are placed in their home schools on a first come, first served basis. Please know that there may be some grade levels of the elementary schools that are at student enrollment capacity. When this occurs, students are enrolled at a school that has space available.
Yeah.
Transportation is provided.
Yeah.
I think that instead of sticking that in like the kindergarten registration.
Well, so we added that.
Oh, I know we did
Yeah,
after
yeah,
that.
after one of them, but we need to put it in policy.
Yes, no, I'm
The
saying
school committee has not approved that language.
like instead of like sticking that under just like the
It should be in
kindergarten, I
general.
think it should be in general.
Mm-hmm.
I also just emailed all of you that the kindergarten and first grade statutes were revised in '23. They don't even, the first grade statute doesn't even, it's been repealed. Every child who has attained or will attain 6 years of age, that's gone now.
What does that mean for us?
That's very, well, what you have here for kindergarten and first grade was the language that was out of both of the previous statutes. Now the kindergarten statute is slightly different. It basically says that you still have the right to, if you've attained or will attain 5 years of age, you're eligible to attend kindergarten, but it now goes on to say, you'll see in the revised language, that if you haven't, basically it requires you to attend kindergarten before you can attend first grade. Yeah, that's the face I have, but take a look, I just emailed it to you. I honestly was not aware of that.
Fun. Does that affect what we are typing currently?
Yeah, I think what I would probably do
Yeah.
is I would probably add this as your kindergarten language, and I would remove
Yeah.
the first grade language. It's not particularly well written, which I know is a.
So
my
is it
favorite, my
basically-
favorite part
Pet peeve of
about
yours,
Rhode
yep.
Island general legislation.
Is it
Um,
basically kindergarten and then 1 through
Yeah.
so I can just take out the whole first grade
That's
thing
what I
and
would-
just leave other
I didn't know
grades
that.
and change it to grades 1 through 12?
Yep. I mean, that's the way you read it too, right?
Yeah,
You
that's-
did- Yeah, I.
When did it get changed? What's the date?
23, end of 23.
So this actually says children who apply for initial entrance in grades 2 through 12 will be placed initially in accord with the grade level they've reached outside of North Kingstown. But if,
Now it's 1 through 12, it sounds like.
but like, so does that mean that like if a child, do you have to, I guess my question is, do you have to have gone to kindergarten to register to?
As I read this, every child who has attained or will have attained 6 years of age on or before September 1st of any school year shall attend kindergarten
Mm-hmm.
if said child has not
not
previously attended and successfully completed kindergarten.
they
Doesn't
have
say anything
to-
about first grade.
So if you're 7 and you never went to kindergarten, you go into kindergarten?
No, 6.
But to your point,
So
yeah.
my point though is it doesn't say only 6.
Nope.
It says.
And the first grade,
No,
the
it does
first
though,
grade statute.
it says, every child who has attained or will have attained 6 years of age before September 1st of any school year shall attend kindergarten during all the days that kindergartens are in session during the school year, if said child has not previously attended and successfully completed kindergarten.
I guess,
So
but I
it says
guess,
6 years of age.
yeah, I mean, I guess the point is if you come from somewhere else and you're 8 years old and you wanna go into first grade, but you've never been to kindergarten.
But they would be
Yeah,
above
but I
6
think it's-
years.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think
yeah,
it's
if you
above-
apply
it's-
a
It's
pure
not
reading
tight
statute,
language, that
it's
is for
awful
sure.
language.
what is, and where's the, is there one for first grade?
No, it's been repealed. It used to, what's in
Who
your
did it get repealed
policy,
by?
I believe
Which-
I believe the exact same
Is it
time.
What group though? Is this house, what,
Hang on one second, let me see if I can.
Alright, let's,
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, that, I just didn't know that.
So can you fix that language, Andrew?
Yep,
again? Okay,
absolutely.
Thank you. What do we want to do about preschool? What do we want to say about preschool in here?
So,
I would start with the language on their website.
yes, agreed.
What were you gonna say, Rob, sorry?
I was gonna say the same thing, like the preschool language, which is,
All the stuff I'm finding is 24, 20.
you know,
Why
having to
can't
do
I
with the.
find that language that you were reading to me?
It's under,
The
it's
lo-
on.
Is it the lottery application?
So there's a couple different places it's at, on the preschool, on Fishing Cove Elementary's website was what I was reading to you before.
Yeah.
I have
like
a
I went-
preschool,
Here, and then I went here. On the preschool form, I would guess, the 25 here,
I see the form.
the 25-26 form I think has the biggest language, cause some of the other stuff has old 24 dates on it, on the web.
Jen, I'm just gonna copy language there and then we can work on it,
Okay.
cause I don't think it should be like word for word from what's on the form.
Do all students pay the tuition?
pre-K?
Yeah.
No.
It seems like on the website that the only way you wouldn't pay is if your child qualifies for nutrition support.
Like, 'cause that'd be the free and reduced lunch.
Yeah.
Just like, that's how we would base it. Most districts, you have a basic.
Special education isn't covered though, for the students that are in pre-K?
No, if you have an IEP and you're going in, there's no cost.
Yeah,
This is-
so,
But this is not for, this application is not for special education students. This
How
application
would-
is just for your typical peers.
How would somebody know that though?
you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Because if you are going through that process, you're being led through that process either because you're coming out of early intervention or because you're coming from child outreach or you're being referred for special education. If you have an IEP and you're looking to apply, and let's say you apply, they're gonna, Jackie's gonna be like, wait a minute, if you have an
But don't you
IEP,
have to
need
have
be
our,
placed."
like, what if I take my 3-year-old and I register them and they've never been in school before, but then they get registered and then they need an IEP, like?
So later on through that process, if that happens, and.
It would get waived.
Yeah, it would all
Okay.
get taken care of later on.
Okay.
Because that happens. Sometimes, you register for preschool and later you get referred, and then, just because you have an IEP doesn't mean you are placed in the preschool. That's all an IEP team decision based on the type of services that you need.
Okay. Okay, so what do we still need to do on this one? Just the language for preschool?
I'm doing it right now.
I think you should leave that in, Ken.
And what about,
No public lottery. So no later than the end of March, is that reasonable to say? Notify no later than the
Yeah,
end of March?
I'm just working on that sentence.
Andrew, for
I'm sorry, I'm down a rabbit hole with
It's
this
okay.
kindergarten thing, go ahead, I'm sorry.
For 1664-8, which is the residence of children for school purposes.
Yep.
It talks about it like, so it's semesters. Do the elementary school, like, do we refer to it like that?
Say it again?
Semesters for the elementary students?
Yeah.
That's like normal.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we called them like terms or some different.
We used to use quarters at the set,
Yeah.
at the elementary, so
Yeah.
like we have, if we had trimesters it'd be different, but since we have quarters, it's
Yeah.
like the first 2 quarters.
Yeah, yeah.
And I believe there's actually a decision at RIDE that equates trimester to a semester, depending on how this, you need to let them finish the next logical stop.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like October, it's whatever, yeah.
Yep, yep.
Jen, I feel like that part, the 1664E under the policy statement on this policy
Yes.
is oddly placed. Like, this policy's purpose is to set forth expectations of the North Kingstown School Committee in regards to initial admission of students into the North Kingstown School Department.
Okay.
And then we bippity bop to 1664-8, which is about changing residents during the course of a semester.
So you wanna move that down to the bottom?
Yeah, like I just
Yeah.
feel like it's weird at the top, like it
I
might
think cause these were
need to
two
be
policies that got merged.
got smushed.
Yes.
Yeah, so we I think need to go
Yeah.
back up to the purpose and
Yeah.
talk and add that to the purpose part. But like, you know what I mean? Like I just feel like it should, as it's mushing together, we should clarify that part. Because that's not talking about admission of residents or admission of non-resident students. That's talking about if a student, like it's admission, but like it's like transfer basically.
It's basically saying if you move, you can still be a North Kingstown.
Yeah.
Okay, what else do we need to fix on this?
I know it, and we don't have to adopt this, but just, I remember a citizen bringing forward like a family first policy, which was that like priority deadline for kindergartner students, and then like the next piece, so I know we said we wanted to do first come, first served, but I found I knew that it was called something.
What was it referring to?
It's family first policy, so like basically internally a principal like would reach out to current families via email early in the spring to find out who's like incoming students are coming in and placing them on the list first, and then like the registration would open for like those who don't have siblings. I'm not advocating for it, I just was I remember like somebody had sent us something, so I just went and looked it up to find it.
So the way we have it right now is first come, first serve, no preference for siblings. Is that how it happens?
That is how
It
it
is,
happens now.
Okay.
We could do that. We definitely could do that and give preference to siblings. that way they're staying in the school. We just would have to wait for a certain time frame to notify families that they're accepted.
Yeah,
Right? We just
so,
wouldn't be able, we'd have to just say, okay, we're gonna wait until
yeah, so this one
July
said,
1st and then send acceptance letters.
yeah, the thing that the citizen sent me was March, April, they need to say, yes, we have a kindergartner coming in, and then it said,
Which needs to be
once
earlier
those
than that.
students, yeah, this is just what this person sent me. Once those students have been placed, the overall district kindergarten register notice is sent out in May, and new incoming students are placed on a first come, first served basis in the classrooms.
So, if we were to factor in siblings, are we looking at something like we're making almost two lists? We have a sibling
That's what-
list,
yeah,
and
that's
then
what
we
it
have a
sounds like this
first come,
person-
first served list?
Would it be, like, so let's say kindergarten, right, the registrations are coming in, are people actually doing something with them as they come in, or do they wait until a certain point and then do them?
So as the registrations are coming in, Joanne's going through everything, right, and she's putting them into our draft projection list, so we
Mhm.
know how many kids are going
Yeah.
into each school. So she is doing that, and she's keeping track of who those students are as she's getting them.
There is another group too, which is the students that are already in the pre-K. So like, I never had to fill out anything and get on a first come, first serve list, cause I was like already,
In
like they just rolled it. And so like that kind of creates like a
So-
weird thing too there, cause like they're not first come, first serve, they're getting, if you're already in the pre-K, you're getting kind of put on that list. Automatically?
We know
Yeah.
if they're on our preschool, we know who they are, so we won't
Yeah.
list them.
So that's just something to consider, like where do those students fall in your first come, first served list, and like should, like, cause they know, you don't fill out a form.
I think they would exist almost separately from the list, right?
Yes and no though, because then what, I'm just trying to like prevent future issues, right? And so say Stony Lane Elementary's at capacity, there was 4 kids in the pre-K from Stony Lane, like, and then they were number 1, number 2, number 10, number 12, you know, like where does that pre-K group go above number 1 who filled it out? And does that bump that, you know, like,
Yeah.
that's what I was
so
thinking
I
about
would
that
say
piece.
if they're in the preschool, we're rolling them up, so they're there before any other
Yeah.
registrations even come in. Because we already know about them, and we know that they're going in.
Yeah.
So they are the first come.
Yeah,
So-
they win the lottery twice, if you will. No, I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
that's a pretty,
Mhm.
Well, the other alternative is that we would make them register again. which
no,
is
and
if
I'm
they
not
want-
advocating for that, I just was thinking through, like, what we were saying, and just wanted
Yeah.
to, I think we just have to be
I-
transparent about that, right?
Yeah.
Pre-K students
Yeah.
are the first crew in, if that's how we do it, you know, like, I'm not saying it's good or bad, my goal is to make it as clear as possible to people, so that, you know, like, they may still be able to be upset, but I want them to be at least knowledgeable.
Informed, right?
Yeah, informed about how we got there. And I do think, you know, I go back and forth on the sibling thing. I do think it is extremely hard for families in our district to have kids at 2 different elementary schools,
Mm.
especially with the time differential and not having good
Mhm.
early and late care. Like I kind of,
I just
I don't know.
added a sentence
Yeah.
under there.
hold on.
Students who attend our district preschool are automatically registered for kindergarten.
Yeah, but I feel like we need to say, like, I don't know how you say this, and are considered the first comers. That's not it, but like, you know what like you have, like that, we're talking about transparency, right? Like,
I think that's pretty
So-
transparent though, like it's
Yeah.
saying that they're in,
Yeah.
so they're going to kindergarten, you know what I mean?
yeah, but
Like-
do they get to go to their home school? Like, that's
That's
really
it,
what
yeah.
I'm
Put
So
in their
I'm
assigned
gonna
school.
suggest
Yeah.
we move on to the other one, cause that might answer some of these questions as we go through that.
Okay.
So we hold this for now.
Let's find out.
And we go into the,
We're going to the next policy?
well, they're all friends. They're all like, but I think maybe as we talk through the other one, which talks about assigning students to school, that might clarify how we want to,
Mhm.
does that make sense?
Yep.
So the next one would be assignment of students to school, red line, assignment of students to schools. So this one basically says, students get assigned to schools based on A, B, C.
Mm-hmm.
And any exceptions to those are for either educational programming or to relieve overcrowding.
Mm-hmm.
And then it talks about, order priority for transferring.
Mm-hmm.
Which one are you in?
Red line, assignment of students of schools.
There you go. Can I ask a weird question?
Uh-huh.
Why isn't that other stuff in this one?
It could all be in one.
Like, I know we're combining
Yeah.
the other two, but like, they're really close friends.
It could all be in one.
Yeah, you know my personal
Yeah.
philosophy on that, but
I think maybe because the other one covers like actual registration, like, and requirements to actually be in the district, and then this one is, this is what we do with
yeah,
you once
they're
you're
friends
here.
though. Like,
They
you know,
are
like because
friends.
like
Could it
you're
just
coming
be
to
like
NK.
Yeah, could it just be like
Yeah.
student registration and assignment to school
Yeah.
attendance?
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah.
I just
It
feel
could
like, you know,
tell-
like, okay, I know how my kid's getting, I'm moving from EG to NK, I now
Yeah.
know this part, or I'm coming in from kindergarten, I
Yeah.
know this part. But then I need to know this next part about like how they're getting assigned to which school. So I just
Yeah, we can make
Yeah.
it all one.
Fine. Kind of you okay
Yeah,
with
that
that?
makes sense.
Alright,
Okay,
smush them together.
okay, so we've gone from 1, 2,
I think
3,
It's
4,
good
6
though.
down to 1, yeah.
And I just think too, like, as we combine them, what can we take out of this policy? This is the assign of students, just so it's not too long of a policy for people to have to read and go through.
Okay,
I think as we get to policies that go more than 2 or 3 pages, I think we lose people and lose like
Yep.
the importance of the policy.
I do think too, I completely agree, and you could do like, for a lack of a better word, like almost a table of contents at the front, saying like, you know, this policy covers these 5 headers,
Mhm.
and like make them hyperlinked, so like if you were just curious about X, you could click on that. Cause I do agree they get long, but I also think like for these two particular, like they're so, like I think it's worth having it be long so that they're all in one document, cause you don't
Mhm.
want somebody to be talking about this one and not be aware of that one, kind of vibe.
So we're talking about all of these under Group A on the agenda are all gonna be one?
no, they would all be one, I think, that's what the proposal is, except for the, boundaries and redistricting, I think that one has to be
That
its
can be
own,
separate, yeah.
Boundaries and redistricting. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
But I think to Ken's point, there is some long language in this one. Oh, that's only 5 pages. Alright, so what part, Jen, were you particularly on? You wanna go chronological, like in order and
so
answer
I
the questions?
think the biggest question is on page 2, right, which talks about the following order of priority will be used to determine involuntary transfers when an overcrowding situation exists. Is to outline like what that process is, so that there are no questions, because I think that's part of the reason why we have to have this, cause we've had situations come up where we've had to do this, but there is no policy on how it's done, and there is no communicated information about that.
Right, so this is like, I don't, my brain doesn't work with this for some reason, but this is like the 1 through 6 is like the,
I think we need to restructure how it's worded, because I had a struggle too, and I was reading this earlier, just trying to
Yeah,
think about
however you wanna,
like, what does this
Well,
actually mean?
what we wanna say is that if there is a situation where a decision has to be made
yeah,
because of an overcrowding
Yeah.
situation, the criteria that decision will be based on will go as follows,
Yes.
kinda like, right?
yeah,
So, right now it says, the following order of priority will be used to determine student, school, and voluntary transfers when overcrowding situations exist. Each situation that falls under one of the above subsections is, this is where you lose it, Jen, subsequently prioritized
It-
against others.
that basically says, so
I-
if you have
yes.
2 students who are both enrolled at their boundary defined school of assignment,
Yeah.
you move the one who registered second. Like, it doesn't necessarily apply so much in that, but like, it's basically saying if you have multiple ones within either 1, 2, 3, or 4, how are you prioritizing those?
Yeah, I think we should say that
Yeah.
in a little simpler language, the
I'm
part
gonna
I
fix
just
the first
highlighted.
sentence too, just so we know that the following order of priority will be used to determine used.
Here, why don't you let me do it, Ken? You talk and I'll do this.
So the first sentence, the following order of priority will be used to. I'm just reading the previous paragraph first, just to.
I don't know. Like, part of me wonders this, like,
Actually, you already changed the sentence.
I did.
That's not what it says. All right, that's better.
so the following order of
Following
priority
order of priority will be used to determine voluntary transfers when an overcrowding
situation.
situation exists.
Okay, when we say order of priority,
Following order of priority will be, who's that? I like, can I say
Who
that?
gets the spot first?
Order of operations, order of,
I would say something almost more like, when decisions must be made regarding student assignment, so student involuntary transfer. Regarding student involuntary transfer placement,
Involuntarily transferring students. Yep,
students. The following criteria will be
used.
used to as the basis of the
Guide.
decision. Yeah, to guide the decision.
The administration's decisions or
Yeah.
something like that.
And then we want to say, how do we phrase this up by saying, okay, like, first
or preference will be given in the following order.
yeah, that's, yeah,
Yeah, I think
yeah,
that-
there you go,
yeah.
yep.
Okay. Does 2 take priority over 1?
I think 2 is a non-starter, right?
Okay.
Like, just,
You
right?
might be able better off taking that out and
I
putting
think-
like a separate thing that if a student
Yeah.
is placed there, is placed in this particular school due to an educational program,
They will not be involuntarily.
Right.
because
This
right,
was questioned though, in the order, if you, like, in the past, like, and so we know that, right?
Yep.
But I think you have to spell it out because
then I
that
would
was
put it
questioned.
I would put it number 1, I mean, I
Okay.
think that's federal law.
What is number 1 then? I don't even understand what,
So
number
number
one
1
says.
is if you're in your homeschool, you get first priority. But this now we're saying that regardless of whether it's your homeschool or not,
But
if
it-
you are in that
I don't-
school,
But
Yeah,
why
I
would-
don't even know if that would even be in there because for all of them, it's their home school. But if we're saying there's no space,
It's
they
not,
have to
though.
move.
it's
But
not.
you're saying it's for kids who are placed there based on a requirement.
Right, and forget about, like, we're not just looking at this one school. Like, you may have an overcrowding situation here, and so a
Mhm.
student may be over in this school, it's not their home school, but you need to free up space, so you have to move them back, right? Like,
Mhm. Right.
so, I think we need to, like, list them all.
I think it's confusing though. I know what you're trying to say, but I
how
think,
is,
like,
how is the criteria being used, right? So if we have a school, and this grade 3 is overcrowded, but we have 4 kids that are supposed to go to that school and they're registered there.
Yep.
What we're saying is the first thing we're gonna look at and say, okay, the students that are currently in that school, in that 3rd grade, how many of them are there because it's their home school, right? So out of the 48, 46 of them is their
Yep.
home school, so they're staying.
Yep.
So now we have 2 kids that are there because they voluntarily asked to transfer to go
Yep.
there. They've been told, now this is, let's say this is mid-July, and they were told, we're accepting your voluntary transfer, you're going to go to this school. But then on July 20th, we realize, oh wait, there's families that moved into this district, into the neighborhood for that school. And now there's no space, so we're gonna tell students A and B that you gotta go back to the school that is your home school because there's no space.
That's not how this is written currently. Currently,
But that's what I'm
this,
saying, is that what we're looking, trying to say?
I'm
in
looking
here?
I
for
would-
you to
Or-
say what the process is, and then we document it. Like, I'm not advocating for one or the other, but I think we need to have it in writing so that people understand. If I register my student, cause I move in on August 1st, is my student gonna bump a kid who is in that school
Mhm.
already?
Personally, I think if you are a student who is voluntarily transferred
That'd be the first
to a,
one.
you should be the first to go.
Right, and you're out.
That's my.
Even if it's August 30th?
Yes, I do, and only because
Yep.
I think that, again, when you're talking about, you know,
Mhm.
having boundaries and
Yep.
zonings and things like that, to me,
Yep.
that would be the first,
Yep.
the
So,
first
okay,
person.
so I'm just putting this out for discussion. So my student has been in that school for 4 years. It is the 5th year that
Doesn't
my
matter.
student has been.
Doesn't matter, because you,
Well,
there's
that's
a-
why I just,
Yeah.
we need
Yeah.
to be abundantly clear
Yeah, yep,
about
yep,
that, so.
yep. And again, I don't wanna sound like, you know,
And
anything,
the-
but,
Again, I'm not advocating either way, I just,
Yeah.
whatever we're doing, it needs to
Do we
say
wanna put it
it.
in
And the
policy?
transfer requests say that it's year to year, so
Yeah.
even though
Yep.
Yep,
you've been there since
Yeah.
first grade, now you're going to fifth
Yep.
grade, if there isn't enough space in that school for you and it's not your home school, we have the right to say, no, you have to go
Yeah.
back to your
I
home
think
even
what
in
we're-
5th grade.
even in fifth grade.
Okay, so I
yes,
think
and
we
we
need
can
to
make it
be
abundantly
clear.
clear
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
when you're voluntarily moved elsewhere, like it is, you know, it's a year-to-year basis,
Yep.
you know?
And that's clear on the form. But I think what Jen's trying to do is get it into policy
Yep.
and get it approved by the school committee. Like I remember reading the form and being like, that is very clear, that if students are choosing that, or families are choosing this, that like, they have to sign something that says, I understand that if my request is granted, it will only be for 1 year. However, if there is increase in enrollment, like, my child may be moved back to his or her designated school of attendance.
So I wonder if we
So I
can
think we
phrase
should
it up,
put
because it
that in.
seems to me the language we have here, it says students enrolled at their boundary-defined school of assignment is the top of the list.
That had been the top of the list.
Right.
I
My
think-
wonder is like, could we phrase it the opposite way and put that students
You're at the
who
bottom
are
of the
in,
list.
who are voluntary transfers to a school are at the bottom of the
Yeah.
list? Would it make more sense that way?
So that is like kind of, we can either go like low
Top
through
down.
high or high through high. Right now, that like special permission one is like basically,
So
Last in, first
are
out.
we saying that this criteria is being used to take students out of the school that's overcrowded?
yes.
Or this criteria is being used to
Both.
determine if, you know, these students that can't get into the school because it's overcrowded, how we're gonna let them in?
Both.
So I think we just need to clarify, because that'll also help us to look at how we're doing this. So when decisions must be made regarding, maybe when you say, moving students out of a overcrowded classroom, and that's what we're saying.
Mhm.
Well, I don't think we wanna say overcrowded, I think we just wanna leave it at involuntarily transfer, because if you end up having to move them for some reason other than
Mhm.
overcrowding, if it's in the policy, they're gonna say, this is not a crowding
True,
situation,
right.
you can't. So I think it's just in terms of, when we have to involuntarily transfer students
This is how-
from one school to another for
Right.
whatever reason,
Yep.
how are you gonna make that decision?
So, I'm just thinking out loud here, but again, my personal feeling is that the voluntary transfer situation, that should be the lowest rung in terms of the,
Okay.
like the first out, if you
Okay.
will. I think that the trickier part's gonna be around, you know, when that doesn't play into it, right?
Well, the only way we're gonna move students out of a school is if it's not their home school. We're not gonna move
That's not true.
students.
I don't think that's true.
But what if we can't, like, what if we can't?
Like kindergarten,
You know?
you're too full for kindergarten.
Right, but what we're saying is we're trying to do this to make space so that way kids that need to go there can go there.
But if I
Right.
have 5 kids who have to be in this school because they have an
only 3 get to
educational
stay.
programming,
Only
like, so I
3.
don't think you can like, I
That's the
think
problem.
it's
Yeah.
just move it, right? So if there is no if we need to make a move, who gets moved first? I'm hearing students who are enrolled by special permission, is that correct?
Yeah.
Who gets moved last?
Special education.
Last would be students who require the programming that's
Right, if
there.
there's a special education program that they're in.
Okay,
And to
Just
me, that's
like,
regardless
if it
of,
works that way in Rob's brain to go the opposite
that's what I'm
direction, just
doing
do
right
that,
now,
just
yeah,
a little bit.
that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So first to go are the students who don't belong in that
So
school.
those are,
They're
those
by
are, those are,
special-
those are,
special
those are
permission.
called voluntary transfers.
Okay, this,
Just,
oh,
I think, because that's what we, those are the terms we use, we involuntarily and voluntarily. So voluntary transfers are the ones where parents and guardians are putting in a request
Yep.
to have their child go somewhere else. So I think that's what we need
Yeah,
to
use it.
just stick to that.
There's no other
I
exception
think
for
just
that.
to be clear,
Mhm.
starting to change the way that we term that to be special permission is probably better because they all of a sudden become an involuntary transfer as soon as you are pushing them back out, right? Like, so they have voluntarily transferred out. But if you're trying to push them back into a school, in their mind, that's gonna be involuntarily. So I think special permission is a better way to refer to it. Because, like, if you're trying to move me and I don't wanna go, I'm not gonna consider that
I
a
think,
voluntary
Well,
transfer.
that's, it's
I
not
see
that
where
you're
you're
getting
coming
transferred,
from.
you're
I think-
getting,
Your
I think
DA is
there's-
going back to the school you're supposed
there's
to
a
be
few
in.
different,
Yeah.
right, there's a few
Right.
different, and these all play into like unique situations, right? There's some situations where a family's like, I want my child here.
Yep,
There are other situations where the family's like, where family might be like, well, I'm a little reluctant, but I'm okay with it, you know?
yeah,
So there's like, I think that kind of plays into the language a little bit.
okay, so we'll do that. Okay, so we've got that. Now, if we have a new, like a student that has a sibling there,
Mm-hmm.
do they get moved? Where do they fall in the, like if you have a kindergartner coming in,
Right, I mean, again, personally, like, just thinking out loud, like, I think that having a sibling in the building would give them a higher priority in terms of keeping them.
and so you're gonna keep them regardless of when they register, if they have a sibling.
So if there are, so what we're saying, you get three families register their students, there's no space. Get student A, B, and C come in.
Mm-hmm.
Student C is a sibling of someone that's already at that school.
Mm-hmm.
And and now we're trying to say, okay, well, once space is open, who's going in there?
Yep.
Would be we're saying we wanna give preference to the sibling, so once there's a wait list, we will give preference to anyone that has a sibling in the school,
Okay.
once there's a wait list. Right, I think that's what we're.
Yeah, and
I mean, that, we go.
And will you move
have
a
to.
voluntarily transferred student out to make room for a sibling?
Yes, because the first criteria, right, because we
Okay.
said
No,
the first
I-
criteria
again, I'm
was
just
under
making
and
sure
that
that
was
we-
not.
Mhm.
One other thing I wanna make sure we're not, confusing too is, so we're talking about situations where, again, from year to year, we have grade levels in certain
Mhm.
schools,
Yeah.
where we have numbers that
Yes.
creep up over the
Yeah.
number that we want it to be. And the new registration piece might not necessarily, I mean, it does, well, it will factor in, I guess, because that's gonna be a result of new registrations coming into that particular grade. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, alright,
Yes.
alright. Cause I wanna make sure, like, there couldn't be a circumstance where the number could creep up without the new registration piece factoring in. But it will always factor in, is that what we're saying?
Not necessarily, because you might have a case of somebody who wants to transfer schools, right, and there's no room, or somebody who had previously been out of their school and now wants to come back to their home school, right, and that
Right.
wouldn't be a new registration, that
Yeah.
would just be a case of,
A case of
like,
movement.
yeah, like
Yeah,
I
you're
had
already there.
voluntarily, like I wanted my kids to go to Stony, now my circumstances have changed, that works better for me for them to go to Hamilton, which was the home school, so that wouldn't be a new
Gotcha.
registration, that would just be a change of circumstance.
Gotcha. So yeah, so in that case, to your point earlier about a sibling piece, that would be the case where, hypothetically speaking, you and I both register.
Yep,
I'm registering my two children who are a younger sibling in the grade, but I registered after you. my sibling situation would be considered above your situation, even though you registered earlier.
That's what I'm saying, like, that's what I'm hearing from you all, is
I
that,
don't know, what do you think about that?
Yeah.
Is that, I think it makes sense. Right, because the disruption to the family that's gonna be caused from a sibling situation being separated is gonna be worse than the alternative, right?
so basically what I'm saying is incoming new students. I'm hearing that there is no case where a student who is new to the district and registers on August 30th does not get a spot in their designated homeschool if there is a voluntary transfer to kick out. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So, does this make sense if we say, when decisions must be made regarding involuntary transferring students, preference for assignment to any individual school is given to one,
Where are you reading? Because I'm not seeing that on my.
Page 2.
cause I'm kind of like making it up as I go.
Okay, because I'm sorry, but I'm having a hard time following all of this.
So, when decisions must be made regarding involuntarily transferring students, preference for assignment at any given school is given to, first, students who require certain educational programming, right? Like, they're locked in, they're not gonna move unless absolutely necessary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Second preference after that is incoming or new students with siblings already attending the school, correct?
Incoming new students with siblings already attending the school. Mm-hmm.
Then, incoming new students enrolling in the regular school assignment with no siblings, right? Already in the district.
Mm-hmm.
And then last is students enrolled by voluntary
It's not,
transfer.
already in the district, cause they could be at like middle school or high
Yeah, I
school.
was meant to, it's,
Already in the
School.
in the school, okay.
Cause you could be like, my kid went to Hamilton.
Yeah.
Or my kid went to Stony, but like, that's not what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Only regular school assignment with no siblings. With no siblings attending the school, I would put attending the school, right?
Currently,
Yes,
or,
currently attending the school. I would use the word currently with the top, with the first one too.
what's that?
I would use the word currently with the first one, incoming new students with siblings currently attending the school, just to keep it consistent. Yeah. Preference assignment.
Is this true in case more than one student falls, like, into one of the above categories, then it comes down to time of enrollment?
Time of.
So if you and I are both
So
competing
time-
for the same spot
time
and
of
we both have a,
registration.
yeah, that's what I mean.
So we both have the sibling.
And I got it in at 8:02 and you got it in at 8:03, it's fine,
Correct, yeah.
okay.
Yep.
Okay. Does that cover those?
I would say registration enrollment date and time, right?
Yes.
In the case more than one student falls into the same category listed above, preference is given based on registration/enrollment date and time. Yep.
Okay.
And decisions must be made regarding voluntary preference for sex. Yep. Alright.
Okay, and we wanna change special permission to voluntary transfers?
Special permission is not automatically approved, granted, or guaranteed year after year. A parent, adult student, or legal guardian may request for their student to attend a school of their choice by special permission. May request for their, yeah. So, it's, you know, this is like wordsmithing a little bit, right? Voluntary transfer sounds like it's coming from us. Special permission sounds like it's coming from them that we are granting,
Okay,
right? So I think there are different circumstances where one has been used depending on the case
Yep.
of the family. I think at the end of the day though, it's the same thing, right? It's just one of those things where like, at the end of the day, to me, I kind of phrase it, the way I like to phrase it is like, you're attending a school outside of your boundary.
so how
You
do,
know,
what
but I don't wanna
do
make it
we, what do
more
we wanna
complicated.
call that?
We can call it involuntary transfer. You wanna stick with the involuntary transfer?
I would, just because that's what we've been calling it.
Yeah.
And that's what people know it as an involuntary
Or
transfer.
voluntary transfer, not
Well,
involuntary.
well, which one? So voluntary is when a parent or guardian asks to change move their child to
Right.
another school. That's a
Yes.
voluntary
Right.
transfer.
Okay,
And they transfer to the school of choice. I mean,
Yeah,
I say that because it's a school of choice that they're choosing.
yeah,
okay,
I think it's fine. Go with voluntary transfer.
okay.
You can combine it too.
Doctor. Doctor.
And is this true, right? When you apply for a voluntary transfer, the student, the student's family has to provide the transportation.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. You can, do we have a timeline that those things must take place by, the request for transfer?
Which must be submitted.
The voluntary transfers that open up during registration, so when registration opens, the transfer request can go in, and they, we notify families at the beginning of the summer, but on, this one here, I put in the date. So for under special permission, sorry, my battery died, so I'm trying to pull up, I think, is it section 3 under special, where it says applications for special permission, is that where you are right now?
Timeline, yep.
Yeah, so applications for special permission may be submitted beginning February 1st through June 30th, and then what I put,
February 1st?
yeah, February 1st, is that's when we open up registrations and
Okay.
allow them to put transfer request.
So
And
on,
then, yeah,
I was just saying on the form, it says applications for transfers must be received by the last day in July 2024, but
yeah.
it needs
So
to be updated.
Yeah, I think we should change all of that, because then in here it says, we have here is a suggestion of June 30th. The section 2 says special permission requests will be processed in the order in which they are received. Then I wrote, official determinations on special permission requests will be reviewed after May 31st. And the parent guardian will receive confirmation 30 days from then. So that way, they start getting reviewed May 31st,
That was,
and then, that way, then, by the end of June, they get confirmation if they're going to be,
yeah,
accepted.
which I think is good. I think we were discussing a hopefully hypothetical situation where like we have a registration that comes in late, for a family with a sibling or even without a sibling, who live in the zoned area, and it creates an overcrowding situation, even if it's after that date. And I think we said that even if it was after that
They-
date,
they would be
we would want the
moved.
voluntary
Mhm.
family.
So I would say we put something, right up a stipulation in here so they know that even though you're being notified, you could, dependent on situation at that school where may not be space or it's overcrowded, if a family moves in that lives in that boundary area up until August, give a date, you could be moved back to your
First
home
day of
school.
school.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think just putting some language maybe in there, like separately, to identify the fact that voluntary transfers in cases of, over-enrollment in cases of over-enrollment, voluntary transfer students will be the first to be relocated back to their school of whatever it's homeschool.
Yep. Okay.
On the, I don't know who owns the building request transfer form, but you have to go to page 2 to see the, information about the deadline. And there's nothing like on the transfer request website, like, about it, so, and I had to like put in information, like it's not even like you can see the full form, like you have to like fill it all out and then like get to that next page to see the deadline, so we would just.
Where are you right now?
We can fix it.
I'm on transfer request, like,
On the website, or?
yep,
Is that under families?
yep,
Yeah, you can define transfer requests.
and then if you go click on building transfer request for 25-26, which is like last year's form, right?
Mhm.
But registration's open, so like, it should be, we should
Mhm.
switch it
For
to,
next year,
yeah.
yeah.
And then, like, you fill it all out, and then you click next, and then it brings you to page 2, and that's where you get the language about when it's due,
Oh, it should be first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
or on the website.
Yeah. So, what do we wanna do with this one and the other one? Do you want me to combine them and bring them back? Do you want me to combine them and send them forward for review at the school committee level? What's the,
I think you combine them and put them forward, cause there's not, like, we're not stuck on anything, like decision-wise, it doesn't seem.
I don't think so. I think it's just language which we can work out.
So this would go up to the school committee at this point?
Unless there's things that you need to,
I don't know if I wanna view it one more time before it goes to
Yeah,
school committee,
I
I
would
feel
like
like
to
just cause this,
Take this, clean this up, let's
Okay.
share it so that Joanne looks at it as well, only because she handles a lot of the registration.
Okay.
Just make sure we're not missing anything.
And I'm asking this in the nicest way possible, cause that was supposed to be for this meeting. Can that be done prior to the next meeting so that we can just review any outliers instead of going through the policy line by line?
Yes, I thought it was just supposed to come back with like information, that's what I did.
No, that's okay. Okay, so just quickly, can we look at the
So
other policy?
I grabbed info from her, which I did, and I had dates and,
Yeah, I guess I just figured that you would come with any questions about the policy to this meeting,
from who?
from you, like, or Rob, like,
Well, that's what we just did. What I'm saying is, can we clean it up?
yes, we can clean
And
it up, but
then-
what I'm asking is I will send
Alright.
you the cleanup version.
Yeah.
Can you review it in advance of the next meeting,
Mhm.
so that when you come to the next meeting, we can just knock off any outliers rather than wordsmith the policy?
Sure.
I could,
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
is there,
Only because we've been talking about this since October, and we're not really getting anywhere. So, just quickly, I'd like to look at the, redistricting one. Did you get a chance to look at this one? Ken
Yes.
or Rob?
yep,
Sorry, I was just sending something off to someone.
this is school redistricting.
So this covers the process that will happen whenever any type of redistricting has to take place. Did you have any questions or concerns with it?
I just had like dates to put in here. And we talk like annually and
Mhm.
so. So under the policy, the first paragraph. First paragraph, last sentence, would determine that there is a need for revisions. Any proposed changes must be approved by the school committee. I put of June prior to the beginning of the school year in which the changes will take effect.
Where did you make those notes?
On my piece of paper. I printed it and I was going through it.
Okay,
Which one, this is called attendance boundaries?
yes.
Yeah. Alright, so we're adding that date for, you said June,
I said June.
Where is that?
right here, where you had XXX. So it says, if determined that there is a need for revisions, any proposed changes must be approved by the school committee the June
Okay,
prior to the beginning of the school year in which the changes will take effect.
okay,
And I think per our conversation, the goal was for students to know before the school year ended, so that they didn't have like that disconnect from their
Yes.
schools. Like if
Yes.
they weren't gonna be at
Yep.
Stony anymore, they knew that before the last day of
Yep.
school, so they could have like,
closure.
so I would add, like, I think it's the beginning of June,
Mm-hmm.
not the end, like, you know, like I
Yeah,
would,
yeah,
like,
that's good.
I think the intent is beginning.
Okay. Did you have questions about the process?
Just going through. I'm just curious the 10% where that came from.
Where's 10%?
So under number 2, abbreviated attendance boundary changes. Just minimal overcrowding or cluster if the school overcrowding exists or a small percentage of students matriculate together to the secondary school that may be resolved with reassignment of 10% or less of current student enrollment. I just didn't know if that was.
Oh, I should have highlighted that. That's one of the ones that I had a question on. Like, that number came from the policy that I got this from, but that number is up for.
Yeah, like we get to pick that number. I feel like for our district too, we need to change the, students matriculate together at a, cause we only have one high school,
Yes,
like, middle school it might be applicable for, but
the high school.
the high
yep.
school, we only have one, so I would change that part I have highlighted.
So this policy would outline how any proposed redistricting in the district would take place and the steps required before anything can be implemented, which will impact the work that's currently going on.
And that's what I was asking. So this is being written now after we put together the committee. So is this now
Well,
being put in place, which is gonna impact the work that we're currently doing?
this was,
I'm just
well, no,
kinda-
but this was brought forward before the work started with the hope of getting it implemented before you started the work, and it didn't happen. So, I think that this needs to be looked at with that eye, because I think there are some good practices in here that maybe we haven't done yet, and we might wanna think about doing them.
We also won't go backwards though, like in time, obviously, and so if we adopted this policy, like it would go in effect the day it went into effect,
Yeah.
right? And so the process started before this went into effect, it's not held to that policy,
No.
so it just continues.
But
Like, you know,
moving forward, it will
yeah,
comply.
yeah, of course, but like, it is what it is,
Yeah.
kind of at this point. But also, like, some things would go into effect, like, if we adopted it before June, then, like, that June date would be,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
adhered by. Which we are, like, which I think is the goal.
So the utilization numbers that are on,
They're highlighted because they need to be
it's not,
identified.
yeah, I was gonna say, it's not what is recommended from RIDE, so.
Yeah, that's why they're highlighted.
So elementary, it's 95% of the school.
What's the other one? In terms of utilization,
I just wanna make sure I do the right one. I think the middle was 85, but I'm just, give me 1 minute just to check that for you.
so it's 5:59. What are you feeling about this policy?
I don't see any changes to make to this policy.
Okay, so you're
I
okay
don't-
with moving this forward as is with,
Anyone else?
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't-
good.
okay,
I wanna get you that number.
Yeah, we can adopt it, we can send it forward and then put that number in.
okay, so I'm gonna make that motion to move established school attendance boundary lines forward to the school committee with the caveat that we're gonna update those utilization numbers. Anybody wanna second that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we're gonna move that forward. We're going to revisit the other registration and assignment policies for discussion at the next policy meeting. Okay, and then can we go back to the safe schools? It sounds like Providence had that agreement spelled out with their SROs, so we should probably take that out since with their police department ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say that,
We're gonna remove it for now.
I'm gonna remove
Yeah.
it for now, I just wanted to have it in front of me when we're gonna remove the part about the SROs and just leave the part about dismissal. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we're gonna make a motion for that one?
I'll make a motion to move it along to the school committee.
Okay. I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So at the next meeting, we will go over the remaining attendance ones. And will you be prepared with the GCB recommendations for that meeting?
We're trying to, we're meeting tomorrow on it, so
Okay, so,
I'm hoping to be. If not, I'll let you know, we'll push it off to the next
Okay.
one, but.
okay, and then we'll just continue to work through the balance of policies on the agenda. Anybody have anything else?
I'll edit that kindergarten one.
Can you do it tonight, cause we have to have a
Yep,
draft?
I
Yeah.
requested access, I think, at some point, so
Okay,
I'll do it tonight.
yeah.
Jen, middle school is 85%, high school is 75%.
Middle is 80?
85.
High
And
school
high
is
school is
75?
75.
Okay. Okay,
Thank you.
alright, I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.